Rich. Okay. What is that called?
So you're good to go.
We're good to go?
Yep.
I'd like to call the June 7th, 2021 Newtown Township Municipal Authority meeting to order. Rich, do you want to go over number one?
Yeah, sure. So we're back in person, obviously. So we're not taking public comments through Zoom anymore. The public has an option to click on our YouTube link on the agenda, and it'll take them directly to YouTube to watch the video.
Okay, thank you. Roll call. Maria Kane.
Here.
Malika Savant.
Yeah.
Mark Kay is not here. John Weaver is not here. Operations Manager Stephen Neese is not here, but Rich Lafayette is here in his place. Council, J. Michael Sheridan.
Here.
Engineer, Mr. David Porter. Here. I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Everyone's had a chance to look at the agenda for tonight's meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
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 Joe, I would just add, because of things that came up at the end of last week, there'd be a need for an executive session.
Okay, right, I was going to do that.
With
Okay,
regard to Old Masters.
okay. As most of the board members, I think everyone's received the email. We will have an executive session at the end of this meeting to discuss two topics, both related to real estate and potential litigation. Everyone's had a chance to look at the minutes from the May 3rd, 2021 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. There are no announcements. Public comment. You state your name, your address, and then your comment. It's been a long while since we've done this, so.
Rebecca Kovacs, 104 Springhouse Lane, Newtown Square. And I'm here regarding the ongoing sewer project and the need for clarification, I guess, of where we are with the issuances of the waiver that was unanimously voted on at the last meeting. As you may or may not be aware, the sale of my home fell through because of the situation with the sewer project. I don't know how much detail you want me to go in.
I know what you're here for, so
Okay.
we'll certainly address that. I would see, this gentleman, are you here for the same reason? Or are you here just? Okay, it's a different issue. Okay, so with regard to your situation, I will let counsel make his comment as well, then, what we've done.
This
Has
is
there been a formal request for a waiver?
This relates to the exemptions.
Right, this relates to the exemption that we voted on unanimously,
The board approved.
that we approved, that
I
we
recommended.
had inquired the DEP. DEP via silence said that they didn't see it as an issue. And that was the end of it. But we were advised, we have not been officially told, but we were advised that the commissioners, supervisors, seem to have some reservations on this issue. I don't know what those reservations are. They have not articulated them to us. And after discussion with our council, we would suggest you do is, for the supervisors meeting next week, and see if they can articulate to you why they have a problem with the exemption. I don't have an answer.
Well, I think it's unfortunate that Mr. Neese isn't here this evening because he and I actually spoke at great length about this, okay? And he said that the township is not honoring the waivers and that we are going to be required to hook up to the sewer, okay?
I don't know that for a fact, because we have not been told that by the township supervisors. So to us right now, it's hearsay. This is what someone said, this is what we think they said.
Okay, well, can I just say this, and I do apologize,
No,
I'm
go ahead.
really frustrated here.
I understand
okay?
your frustration, trust me.
No, you really don't, okay? I lost a $2.15 million sale
Okay,
on my home,
I understand.
okay? And my life right now had plans that now have just been thrown up in the air because two boards that supposedly are associated somehow, because our understanding of how you folks are associated and how everybody's saying that you're independent all of a sudden. I mean, we're really confused, concerned, neglected, okay? And I think that it's unfortunate that the repeated phone calls to Mr. Sheridan and the repeated phone calls to the township for the permission to speak to the solicitor from the township, all right, are going unanswered. So it's not like we're getting any kind of information to move forward here. And I'm going to be honest with you. I have engaged an attorney, okay? And we don't want to go that route. We just want to get it resolved.
Look, I understand. I don't have an answer as to why the township supervisors are going to force you or do not agree with our decision to give you a waiver. I don't have an answer. We have not been informed as to why they have chosen not to grant the waiver that we've asked for, that we approve as a board. I don't have an answer for you.
Okay.
I wish I did, but I can't sit here and tell you why they have decided. Up to this point, we have been given the responsibility to implement the 537 plan, which is putting in the sewer system in the western half of the township. So for the last 24 months, we have implemented the plan that was approved by DEP. We have had obstacles, which we have overcome. We have had issues, which we as a board have dealt with, and we have overcome those issues to the best of our ability. You came and you made this request along with some of those other residents in that area. We had council review it. We reached out to DEP. We as a board, once we heard the request, we thought it was in the best interest of those specific residents to grant the waiver. In good faith, the 5 members of this board did that.
I don't disagree.
I do not have an answer as to why the supervisors have decided to take a different stand. They have not articulated to us why. They have not shared with us why. They have not shared with our council as to why. So that's why I'm saying, my answer to you is go to the supervisors meeting next week and ask them.
Well,
Because
my.
I don't
job
have
is-
an answer. I can't even give you a guess. You're obligated to pay the tap-in fee.
I already did.
No, I'm saying, so if you look at it from an economic standpoint, you would say, well, if we're not going to collect the tap-in fee and we multiply that by 8 people, that's money that the system doesn't get to help defray the cost of the system, to pay for it. But you're paying the tap-in fee. So the only thing we've granted you is an extended waiver not to physically connect to the system. That waiver, you're just not going to put any waste into the system. It doesn't cost this agency any money. It does not diminish the effectiveness of the system. It does not diminish the economic viability of us repaying the debt that we incurred to build the system.
Right.
So that's why I'm sitting here saying, I don't know what their thought process is. I don't have an answer. And I'm not going to sit here and try and wing it or guess, because I have no idea why they've chosen to take that position. Now, if you had conversations with Mr. Neese, you're ahead of us, because I have not been told, this board has not been told why they've taken that position.
Okay.
For 8 residents, 8?
9.
9 residents out of 3,000 connections, why 9 residents are being singled out? I don't know. I wish I had an answer for you. I've spent the last 12 years getting ready to put this system in. I've been on here for 12 years doing this. We are for us, we're at the end. We're very close to finishing our last set of connections, and we've accomplished the goal that I was asked to take on 12 years ago. I don't know why you 9 have been, I don't have an answer. I don't.
Is it fair to ask that you're going to at least pursue an explanation?
We've asked, council has asked. He has not gotten an answer. I have instructed our council to reach out to the supervisor's council. Could someone articulate, we knew you were going to come. We knew someone was going to come.
Oh, no, I know. I mean,
Could someone articulate to us why, so we can explain to resident or residents why that request has been denied?
I mean, look,
There was no answer.
I think, and I hope that everybody's in agreement. I mean, and really it can only be Mr. Sheridan and Mr. Porter because we've dealt with them most. But I think that everybody has worked towards the same common goal and everybody has given what they've been asked to give. You know, and I guess I'm going to ask one other question. I'm going to have to ask Mr. Porter to put him on the spot here. And I don't even know if he'll even know the
He's
answer.
paid
to
well
it.
for that, don't worry.
Okay. Do you have any idea what the estimated savings was for the project by not putting the lateral down to the 26 feet like it should have been?
I don't. Off the top of my head,
Okay.
it's a difference of probably a number of depth classifications where the pipe was versus where it is. So, kind of to further explain to the authority, just so we're aware of our conversation, when we had met, we discussed the incredible length that you have to tie into the system as it is, whether it be by gravity or by pressure sewer. If we're 26 feet in the ground at the road, you have to be 26 feet in the ground at your driveway to get tied in. So just to keep in mind, there is a significant increase in cost in excavation to get your sewer lateral constructed versus doing something that's a low pressure system, tying in that way, and then being able to directional drill under your driveway so you won't have to rip up the driveway. You won't have that excessive excavation to get down the gravity system. No, it's not a gravity connection ultimately, but why there is savings to you as a homeowner as opposed to having that costly excavation.
Right, but my issue, it might be other people's issues, and this is Ms. Oldfather, she's affected by this as well, is that I do not have a generator, okay? And for me to put in a generator, because my propane tank is on one side, and my electrical panel is on the other side, I have to have another propane tank, which is $6,000, and a generator, which is $14,000. Or when the electricity goes out, the grinder is going to stop and it's going to back up into my house. So that's not a good option.
Yeah.
I mean,
Look, I mean, I don't want to cut this short, but I understand where you're coming from. But the fundamental issue is we have voted to grant an exemption. The supervisors apparently are not willing to grant the exemption. That's the issue we have to deal with. That's the issue we have to deal with. I mean, our exemption and the exemption you applied for, you get 10 years automatically. So what we granted you was an exemption beyond 10 years until such time as your system failed and you can't replace it to meet current DEP standards at some point in the future. So you have a 10-year exemption in place.
okay.
By ordinance, you have a 10-year exemption in
I
place,
don't.
correct? Is that
I
correct,
don't.
Mike?
I don't.
Okay.
Because if I sell my house, the
That's
township
correct.
is saying
That is
I
correct.
have to hook
That is
up
correct.
immediately.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay, and I don't know if it's an option, okay? But again, Mrs. Oldfather, she can come up later, but we had talked about it. And if there was some way even for us to go through Boot Road, all of us somehow, because that actually would be probably equidistant for me, you know? And it would be gravity, right?
Sure.
And that might, I don't know.
We guys, certainly, I mean, take a look at it. Our engineer can look at it, take a look at the plans and see if there's a way that we can access Boot Road, the line in Boot Road to connect. Again, we're here to provide the service to the residents as efficiently and as cost effectively as we can. We're not here to create obstacles. We're not here to do anything other than to give the service to the residents the best we can. And so if we can get another option, if our engineer can figure out how to get out, I'll call it the backside of your property, maybe that's the right, maybe I don't, but I'm saying the backside of your property to get to Boot Road, and we can figure that out, sure, we're open to it. We're open to any option that accomplishes the goal, which is to be as cost effective as we can to get you to connect into the system. And I'll ask the engineer, I'll instruct them right now to go ahead and do that tomorrow. They can look at their charts and their graphs and their plans and see if it is physically possible. And then then the question then becomes, is it economically, is that the better option? I don't know the answer. He'll be able to tell us very quickly. But the first question is it physically possible to run a line out the back to connect to our line, our force main on Boot Road versus coming down your driveway and the depth and everything else that goes with it? So I'll ask our engineer to do that, and I'll ask him to coordinate or at least comment back as quickly as possible to council, and then council can contact you as to whether or not that option works. And if it does, then we'll outline what we have to do to accomplish that, whether we have to get easements from another property owner, if whatever we have to do, we'll evaluate it and we'll see if we can make it work. We'll do our best.
Okay.
I mean, our goal is
That's all we can ask
yeah.
at this point.
I mean, again, like I said, our goal is to provide the service. Our goal is to do it in a way that is, cost beneficial to every resident that we can. That's our goal. I mean, we're not here to be obstructionists. We're not here to be just the way, take it or leave it. I mean, we'll do everything we can to facilitate the connections. But there may be a situation, and again, I don't know, where we just can't do it. We physically, for whatever reason, we can't do it, and here's why. Hopefully, we can come out the back, out Boot Road, and if we have to obtain an easement from adjacent property owner, we'll make best efforts to do that, and if we can do that, then we'll do our best to make it work for you. All right, I'll ask Mr. Porter to do that as soon as possible, and I would like to say that by the end of the week, we'll have an answer for you as to whether or not it's even physically possible. And then once we determine it's physically possible, then we'll look at, is it economically possible? But let's start with, is it physically possible to do that? Okay?
Okay, and then, the only other thing I can ask is that you continue to try to get in touch with the other solicitor to get some answers.
We are trying. Trust me, we are trying.
It's just crazy.
I do not disagree with you. So,
Okay, I'm done.
okay, thank you. Just your name and your address and your comment.
Hey, my name is Grayson Oldfather. I live at 208 Carriage Lane. And I guess there's a sense of frustration between us in that we started out, the code said we didn't have to hook up. I was told I didn't have to pay the tapping fee. Then I was told I did. I was told that we had the exemption and now we don't. And while I appreciate your position, it is very frustrating when we think you are putting in the system and then the township supervisors, for no reason given whatsoever, they decide that they're not going to allow it. On top of that, you decided to go with the gravity system because that was going to save the township overall some money. And while I accept that, it seems like an undue burden is being put on us because of that gravity system, and that we're required to get all kinds of grinder pumps for 10 or 15, 20 feet ahead because of where our septic systems exist now and where they exit our buildings. And no matter what, and then that involves generators. And so it just seems like we're getting an unfair burden and that there ought to be better communication. I understand that it's not
I understand your frustration,
and what you're trying
and I
to
would
do.
say the same thing I'll say to you as go to supervisors meeting Tuesday night
The other thing I
and
can
state
add
your case.
is
So
that
they're your elected representatives.
we have the area behind our homes, and there's the potential that 5 homes could tie in from the back, which is common area. So you really, in terms of having to get.
Is that common
easements-
area to Boot Road? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, all the way to Boot Road.
So you, the five of you control all the land from the back of your property to Boot Road?
Yes. I mean,
I
I'm
say
not
control,
I'm
you
not
own
a
it.
lawyer. I've looked at some of these, but it's open, it's community common area,
Okay.
and it goes all the way to Boot Road. And so, in terms of digging up driveways, going through propane lines.
As I said, if we can make that work, we'll do everything in our power to make that work.
Okay.
If our engineer can look at the plans and they can calculate and they can make it work, we'll do everything we can to make it work. We know we have a line in Boot Road, right? We have a line in Boot Road. We can tap into that line. We can run your laterals to our force main on Boot Road. If we can make it work, we'll make it work. Okay?
That was it for me.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and thank you for moving it up on the agenda.
That's
I
okay.
want to stay here real quick. Leonard Altieri, 611 Tennis Avenue. I'm the supervisor liaison to the municipal authority, so I'm one of the supervisors here in the township. While I'm not going to get into the legality of the issues that have kind of been touched on, I will say that I find it a little difficult that no one from the township has responded to any emails or responses. I will say that, again, without getting into a he said, she said, I will have the township solicitor. I will call him as soon as I leave this meeting, which will be after this public comment, that he reaches out to Mr. Sheridan here, the township engineer, who also acts as the operations manager, I'm sure has been in contact. If he has not provided that information, I will make sure that he knows that information can be provided. In terms of coming to the supervisors meeting, you're more than welcome to come to the supervisors meeting. And I don't want this to come off as me saying not to come, but because this is now a legal issue, there's not going to be much that the supervisors are going to be able to discuss in public with you. But after I speak to our solicitor, I will make sure that he speaks to Mr. Sheridan and that either he or Mr. Sheridan reaches out to both of you individually. I'll get your contact information when this is over. We'll walk back there. And just the one question that was raised by, I think, Ms. Goldfather, is that how you say it? Goldfather. In terms of the, catch-22, where are we essentially? The township is responsible for implementing that 537 plan, and the waiver essentially could be seen as a deviation from that. And so that's why there's issues with this. But again, I'll let the legal counsel speak on that, both to you and then as well as to Mr. Sheridan. So that is what I just wanted to address here. Is I didn't want you to think that if you came to a supervisors meeting, we'd be able to discuss much because there is legal issues there. The supervisors have been in contact, or I shouldn't say the supervisors, our attorney has been in contact with someone here because that information was relayed to us. So we are intimately aware of the situation. In addition to the operations manager, Mr. Neese is also the township manager. So we have the information from him as well on that. But again, without holding up this meeting here, I'll go outside, get your contact information, give you my contact information, and see if we can get the ball rolling a little bit.
And the attorney is?
The attorney, it'll either be Mr. Sikora or Mr. Catania. I would just have to see which one is working on that. Okay. Perfect. Thank you
If I
very
can
much.
speak for a moment.
I'm going to let council speak because I do want council to speak. So
I thought, and I thought I had made you aware that I had spoken with Mr. Sikora today.
you did, but we
Okay.
never got a
The
clarity.
direction that I got from him was that anyone who comes in and asks about the exemption is to tell them that it's to defer them to the township. That's what I was told.
We were not given a reason. We were just told to tell you,
Okay, I mean, I've spoken to Mr. Neese at great length.
okay, again, I don't, not privy to that conversation. We're just telling you what we were told.
And asked to have permission to speak to Mr. Sikora. We never got a response back from that. I spoke to somebody and basically my attorney was going to call, had placed a call. As far as I know, has not received a phone call back from Mr. Sikora because that's who Mr. Neese is.
Yeah. So I'll get the contact information again. I don't want to hold it off. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Joe Zeminski. I live at 144 Camelot Lane. I'm directly across from the Camelot Lane pump station, the new one. My problem is the length of time it's taken to construct that pump station. It's been several years in the making, yet all the projects in the township, hundreds of apartments, large office buildings, parking garages, and firehouses have been completed in that time. But we can't get the pump station completed down there. We've asked Mr. Porter for timelines. We have never received a timeline. It seems like it's a simple thing to do. Meanwhile, we live in a dust bowl. We used to get our windows cleaned once a year. Now we get them cleaned 3 times a year, and the windowsills are just filthy constantly. It's not a situation you want to live in. And recently, it's turned into a storage lot. We can't even park our own cars on the street, but we can put a couple loads of stone in there, mulch. A tractor's out there today, a roller's out there today. In the middle of the street, there was a trailer, storage trailer out there. I guess they're using it someplace else, so they pulled it out of there. They closed down for the winter. They left all their stuff around. We had to complain about that. It's just not a right situation. All we're asking for is a timeline. When is this thing going to be completed? It seems to be a simple thing. All the utilities in, that was a big thing. All the utilities are not in. The workers are great with us. They work with us, so they get us out of our driveways and so forth. But we can't get the project completed. And I don't understand it. How can we do all these other projects around the township, but can't get a pump house built? Is it because payment? Is it because, what is going on? The best construction time we had was during the pandemic, the true pandemic. When everything was closed, they got a waiver. We had all kinds of people there every day. And soon as the winter came, it ended. So I was wondering if anybody could help us get a timeline or get the residents together.
Well, Mr. Porter's going to give us a report on the sewer project. So if you want to wait, we'll certainly have a report on the sewer project, of which that pump station is one of the ones where we'll get an update.
Okay, but can we get a timeline?
Well, Mr. Porter's going to give us a report, and
Okay.
we'll have a question and answer with the board to Mr. Porter.
Okay, we've asked for that numerous
Right.
times.
I'm-
I could show you the paperwork on it, and we get nothing. So all of a sudden, we're getting, because I'm here, we're getting a report, I guess.
Well, no, we get a report every month. If you participated in the meeting,
Get a report.
we get a report every month. We have been getting a report every month for the last
Okay.
2 years. So
Okay,
I find that offensive
It's
that you're
a
telling
thing.
us we don't report.
okay, I guess.
So
Mark
we've done
Hagan-
that, and we've done it quite well. And we've done everything we can to facilitate. We had,
But it's not communicated to the residents.
we have meetings every month. They're open to the public.
They haven't been open to the
They're
public.
open to the public every month by Zoom.
By Zoom.
Well, that's
And
why
out
we
of
met.
this last 6 months, 3 of them been canceled.
No, they haven't. We've met every month.
Anything.
Hold it, it says they've been canceled.
The second meeting has been canceled. We have met the first Monday of every month. I
Okay.
guarantee you that.
Well, you look on your
I don't have to.
website.
I'm guaranteeing you,
You
we've
look
met
on the website.
every month.
Well, something's wrong with the
Well,
website.
that I can't address. I can tell you we've met every month.
You're talking about two different things.
Huh?
You're talking about two different things. There's the Monday meeting, first Monday of every month.
That's the one I'm talking about.
That's not been.
Never been canceled.
Never been canceled.
Never been canceled.
There's a
We have
backup
another
meeting 2 weeks
scheduled
after.
meeting 2 weeks after that.
I'm sorry if I didn't understand.
It's
if
okay.
that's the
I mean, it is kind of confusing.
But my concern is, why can't we get a timeline?
Like I said, when we do the engineer's report later in the meeting, Mr. Porter will give his report. the board has an opportunity to ask Mr. Porter questions. We'll ask him that question when we have the report.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Treasurer's report. Everyone's had an opportunity to look at the treasurer's report that was submitted on Friday. Do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Motion to approve the treasurer's.
Do I have a second? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Number 11, payments. I make a motion, 11.1, make a motion, we consider ratifying the reoccurring bills paid on check register A dated May 13, 2021, totaling $9,205.89. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 11.2, I make a motion that we can approve the bills on check register A dated June 7, 2021, totaling $340,700.79. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
11.3, make a motion, we consider approving a payment from the bonds totaling $21,571.23 to Herbert MacCombie Engineering for Part 2 permit work, Act 537, Public Sewer Project relative to the Camelot Service Area construction. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 11.4, I make a motion, we consider approving a payment from the bonds totaling $4,592.49 to Herbert MacCombie Engineering, Part 2 permit work, Act 537, Public Sewer Project relative to the Ashford Service Area. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
11.5, make a motion, we consider approving a payment from the bonds totaling $4,312 to Michael Sheridan for professional services associated with the 537 Public Sewer Project build-out. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Number 12, engineers report, Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll start as usual with the sewer project update. Ashford Service Area, we're working through punch list items with the contractor. We've met with various homeowners over the last month with regard to grading and restoration on the property, plantings in certain areas of the easement, as well as reviewing requests for payment from Jalen Bradley, cross-checking quantities with as-built plans, et cetera. We should have a report for the authority at the next meeting. We've been requested to, authorities aware, been requested to meet with Jalen Bradley with regard to final payout of that contract. We've told Jalen Bradley again that we're not meeting with them until they give us a breakdown of, an itemized breakdown of what they've claimed for delays, et cetera, on the project. Camelot Service Area update with regard to the Camelot Lane pump station. The gas service has been completed. The electric service has been completed. ECO followed up with gas meter installation. We've coordinated with the electrical contractor and the general contractor, as well as the pump manufacturer, Gorman Rupp. We've coordinated a startup testing scheduled for Wednesday, June 16th at 10 a.m. We also had a community meeting with the Springton Point Woods folks on Camelot Lane about a week and a half ago to go over what was being completed on the pump station, as well as a time frame for what was being completed on the pump station, in which time that date was communicated to the residents at that meeting, one of which being the gentleman here at the meeting that made public comment. Just so the authority is aware, we've discussed numerous times and met with that community group over the last 2 years, numerous times, even at night when they had their community group meetings, to discuss aesthetics of the pump station, in which they selected white trim, brick facade, and weathered stone asphalt shingles for that pump station. We've also coordinated directly with their arborist as far as the landscaping, who made several suggestions for substitutions, which we've coordinated, and we are honoring that as far as the final landscape plan. So some of the questions I received at that meeting was, well, what's our critical path moving forward to complete the pump station? I said, well, everything's the critical path right now. We're a week and a half, 2 weeks away from startup testing. So what is left is J.O. and Bradley, our surveyors laid out the retaining wall that's going around the back of that pump station. J.O. and Bradley is to be constructing that retaining wall over the next week or so. They communicated to me previously that it would be constructed last week. As of today, I went out there before the meeting and hasn't been started. So I've been asked to communicate any changes in that schedule. So every time J.O. and Bradley tells me something that isn't true or gets pushed, I guess, every day that's a delay, I have to communicate that with the homeowners association. So if the authority is inclined, I will certainly do that. It's just going to be additional time out of the bond budget for the project. That said, with regard to the startup testing, J.O. and Bradley has committed to having the retaining wall done and the driveway constructed prior to that startup date, which is next Wednesday. So I've sent out a notice to Mr. Charitz at Town Public Works, along with several other individuals, including the contractors, directing them to get their various manufacturers' representatives present for that meeting for Wednesday the 16th. That concludes my report for the Camelot Lane pump station.
Okay, anybody have any questions on the board on the new part? So let me understand it. So we start up. The only two items left are obviously 3 items: startup, paving, and the retaining wall. Is that correct?
There's landscaping and a fence, which was also
Okay, which
discussed.
will be the last things we
Yes.
put in once we actually get out of the
That's
site.
correct. And
Are we responsible to put up the fence and the landscape? We,
Yes.
meaning our contractor.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
So JO has to put the driveway in, build a retaining wall, do the landscaping, and put up a fence.
Yes,
All that's been selected, all that's been approved by all the parties.
that's correct.
How long do we estimate that the driveway will take to install once we get the
Driveway's half a day.
retaining wall in?
Driveway's half a day of
Okay.
construction.
And then landscaping,
Might be a day. We have to coordinate a time with John Hosback, their arborist,
got it.
so he's present to direct where certain plantings are going to go.
But the bulk of the work will be done on the 16th,
That's correct.
which is the startup.
Yes.
All our power, all our equipment's ready to go. We start up, we're up and running.
Yes. Now, some of what the association was concerned with was Jalen Bradley does have block for the retaining wall staged at the end of the cul-de-sac. They do have some clean stone at the end of the cul-de-sac. And then there is some mulch in anticipation of doing that landscaping around the pump station. So the concern is they have all this stuff laid down in the cul-de-sac and it's being used throughout the other sections of the project. I explained to the homeowners association that J.O. and Bradley is working on punch list items throughout that contract area. There are no other laydowns other than that pump station. That's it. So
Right.
that's going to be the last thing that's completed. And once they're done with the pump station and those punch list items, everything's being pulled out.
Okay.
of the
So
site.
by next week, by the 16th, I'm sorry, the wall will be done, which means the block is gone.
Correct.
Mulch will be done because we'll be landscaping within a day or two. The driveway will have been built and the fence will be installed
Well, the fence.
within a couple days afterwards.
The fence is ordered, so I have to
So,
get a delivery date for the.
You
fence.
say the 16th is a Wednesday of
Yes.
next week?
Yep.
So reasonable assume that by the following Wednesday,
Mhm.
that work will all be done except for the landscaping.
Probably, yes. I think it's reasonable.
So there you go.
First of all, what I know about the landscape, and I think the cutoff is June 15th.
Yeah, I'm not,
Oh, whatever the generator works.
oh, it's just moving.
There you go.
I'm not here to debate that or discuss that.
Okay.
I really don't know.
All right.
You understand that's our timeline. That was your big question. There's our timeline.
Okay, I want the timeline for total completion.
Can't give you that because there's things that we don't control. If we have a weather issue, we can't build a wall. If we have an weather issue, we can't lay down the asphalt on the driveway. So I'm not going to get boxed into it will be done by a certain
There's no
date.
asphalt in the driveway.
Well, what are we putting down the driveway?
Asphalt.
Thank you. So,
Isn't it cobblestone?
No.
so here's my thing.
Yeah.
You have a general timeline. We're trying to meet it. That's our outline. That's our goal. Subject to weather conditions, we don't control that. If the weather cooperates, there's our timeline based on what we have to be done.
Okay,
That's it.
Why don't you give us a timeline in writing?
I'm not going to give you time right. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. Okay? Mr. Porter's attended meetings. He's provided information. We've done the best we could. We're not going to put it in writing because we're not going to get boxed into what happens if. Not going to do it. That's our timeline. We're going to do our best to achieve it. Weather permitting, we should achieve it.
Will you put that in writing?
No, I just did. It's on the record.
It's gonna be on the record.
It's on the record.
Wait, can I
Can we
just,
obtain
no,
a copy of that?
I know. Can I just interrupt for a second? You're gonna come to the next meeting and you've already got an estimated time frame, and I would like to hear from you as to what the status is at that point. That's all we can do at this point. There should be substantial
It would be the
completion by
first,
the next, there should be substantial completion by the next meeting. If that's not the case, I would hope that you would come to the next meeting.
Fair.
Okay. All right, Mr. Porter, continue your report, please.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You do the same.
No, Mark?
It'll be next Tuesday. It'll be because
Oh, because it's a Tuesday.
Because of the July 4th holiday.
Okay, so it's on a
It'll be
Tuesday,
the
the next, the
first.
first Tuesday of the month.
Thank you.
Melmark School, just wanted to inform the authority quickly that the public sewer connection permit applications for the 2 pump stations at Melmark to tie into the public system were approved, and we've gotten through all of the product submittals in support of construction of that pump station. Those submittals are going out probably tomorrow morning, and they should be starting with construction in the next couple of weeks on those 2 pump stations to connect the schools in. Ellis Preserve Sector 1 Phase 2, I have coordinated with Special Counsel Frank Catania with regard to revisions to the public sewer agreement. I understand Mr. Catania was working on incorporating some suggested changes that I had. Presumably he's going to communicate directly with the authority as far as taking action on that.
I spoke with Mr. Catania. There's nothing left to take. We've already agreed. We've approved it. We've signed off. He's got to get the draft document still so we can make sure it's in accordance with what we approved. He's working on it. I think he took your comments, some comments that I had, he's revising. So hopefully we have a finished document that we can look at and then execute. I know DEP is probably going to run out of patience soon. Well, not that they have it.
And just so the authority is aware, we have been in touch with DEP. They're
Yeah, we
progressing
have.
on the
I
process.
know. We've had communication. Go ahead.
Lastly,
314.
Summit Avenue, as per the authority's direction at the last meeting, we did go out and do a topographic survey of the stream and sanitary sewer on that property. We did receive some comment from the adjacent owner that doesn't desire to have any survey or anything else analyzed on his particular property. So we did honor that. We don't need to encroach on that property to complete what we need to do. The base plan is under preparation right now. By the end of the month, I should have a report to the authority at the July meeting as to which method for the bank restoration would be appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes the engineer's report.
Anybody have any questions of our engineer on the updated information? No? Okay. New business, 14.1, consider approving $666.33 refund request from Catherine Chanlis at 6 Richard Ridge Road for unusually high water uses associated with pool work that did not enter the sanitary sewer system. I assume you reviewed it, you've agreed with it, and you're recommending that we do this.
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve a refund of $666.33 to Catherine Chanlis at 6 Richard Ridge Road. Do I have a second? Any questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye. Thank you. 14.2, consider adopting the 2020 audit. I will tell you, I still have questions on the audit. which we're trying to get answered. I have not heard from either John Weaver or Mark Kay with regard to the audit and their comments or questions. So we will get to them and ask them, you know, as the finance team, you know, treasurer, do they have any questions or comments? Mine should be answered at some point in time. I'm waiting for Mr. Porter. When he does get me the answer, then I can get that part of it done, and then I'll check with Mr. Mark and with John Weaver to see if they have any open issues on the audit. And if not, then we'll move that through on the July meeting. Right? Unless we have an interim June meeting. Okay. Old business. I guess the only thing on old business, we're still pursuing our delinquency accounts. We are doing all the, you know, appropriate documentation to do that. What's the number look like today? Do you have any idea, Rich?
Yeah, George, if you would go into the reports, it is voting letter, report number 590 down. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there should be a grand total there.
Oh. That's all delinquents?
Yeah.
What's our grand total?
So the grand total is 392 residents for $170,000.
Okay. And our top 5 delinquencies, what are they running right now? I know we collected off of one of them a substantial amount of money.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, that was our number 1 delinquency. So go to our top 5.
So the top 5, the one is BPG. I believe this is just a billing issue. They're usually
Right.
30.
Yeah, they are pretty good about that. All right, so take that off the equation. So how much is the BPG?
BPG is 21,000.
So out of the 100, what'd you say, 130?
70.
So 170, so 150.
Yep.
So of the 150, go to the top 5 after BPG.
So that would be 3820 Westchester Pike for 12,000. That would be 11 Pickwick for 8,100. 110 North Water Road for 7,300. 9 Greenbrier for 5,300. And then 100 Main for, we call it $5,000.
The second one, 8100. What is the address? Who's the owner of that property?
So that is 11 Pickwick, is Jennifer Gordon.
I'm sorry. 12,000. I can't see it from where I'm
Yeah,
sitting.
it's
I'm sorry.
difficult. That is Mr. Tony Corey of 3820 Westchester Pike.
So is that the same individual whom we did collect a fair amount of money from, or is that a relation?
That is in relation. We could not hold, what happened when we collected the other one, because we have withheld a permit.
Okay.
This individual had nothing to do with
Okay.
the person applying for the permit, so we couldn't withhold the permit because of that.
So we, on the 12,000, we filed all the appropriate liens, we filed all the judgments.
Yeah, that's correct. I believe we have a judgment in our favor for the amount of $10,000 we can go back and get for the other two. It dates back sometime.
Okay. Let's update that judgment. Council, what else can we do to continue this process on that?
Execute.
Let's execute on it. Let's get it. Let's get the judgment moved from 10,000 to 12,000 plus associated interest and fees. And then let's execute on the judgment. Okay? On the 8,100, where are we on that one? Do we have a judgment on the 8,100?
So I do not believe we do. The district court was actually having a hard time serving this individual because they refused to open the door. I believe, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe something happened at the county level because we were having a hard time. There is a lien in place on this property. We just don't have a judgment on it.
Problem you always have at the district justice court is that if they don't get service, personal service, they won't hold a hearing.
Right.
Even in the circumstances where somebody refuses it.
Right.
They won't post the door, they won't leave it.
Okay.
And they also won't, because I've tried before, is to get a special order from them that allows some other means of service.
Right.
Which, if you're in media at the Court of Common Pleas, they allow that to occur.
Okay.
But my experience has been the district justice courts do not feel that their rules allow for that.
Okay.
So they don't give that kind of relief.
So our moves to go to common police court?
Well,
What's the next, I shouldn't stop. What's the next step
the
then?
case is before the district court. That's where it was filed. That's where we filed them all.
Okay.
because that's the cheapest, quickest way.
But we can't execute because we can't serve and he won't acknowledge, the court won't acknowledge. So what recourse do we have
The
next?
recourse is to file it in media,
Okay,
which is more expensive, more time consuming. And then there'll first be an attempt by the Delaware County Sheriffs to serve it. If that fails, they refuse that service, then you can petition the court for alternate service, and they will grant that.
okay.
They will grant it, particularly in the circumstance where somebody refuses.
I'm
And
going to make a
The
motion.
alternate could be advertising,
Right.
posting the door, certified mail. They get different things. They just want to know the person's aware.
I'll make a motion that we authorize council and our staff to file the appropriate documentation in the courthouse and media in regards to the outstanding debt of $8,100 on the address, which is, for the record, please,
11 Pickwick Lane.
11 Pickwick Lane. Do I have a second on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay. 7,300, where are we on the 7,300?
That is another individual that we do have a judgment against.
Okay. So we have not any movement, we just have a judgment, so let's execute on the judgment. And then the last two, the 5,300 and the 5,000, where are we on those two?
I do believe we have judgments on all the top five,
Okay.
other than 11 Pickwick, which we were having a hard time serving.
Understand, okay. Also, again, on these two, 53 and 5,000, let's execute on the judgment. Now, doing simple math, this is at least 10 years worth of delinquencies. Right, about 10 years, give or take?
Depends on how much water uses, but yeah, it's
Average, without looking at the numbers, it's about 10 years of delinquencies here. So it's time that we move forward. So please do that, do what you have to do, and be prepared to brief the board at our next meeting what the status is on those 1, 2, 3, 4, those 5 accounts. Okay, thank you. Also, I will do an executive session because it's a litigation issue. Is there any other old business at this time? If not, I make a motion that we move to executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Okay. Yep. Okay, we are back from executive session. We were reviewing and with council three issues regarding litigation and real estate. We are going to proceed on taking two actions with regard to real estate. The first is I make a motion that the board approves execution of the waiver and release agreement between the authority and the owners of the Old Masters Golf Course.
Newtown Village LLC.
I'm sorry, what was that, Mike?
Newtown Village.
Newtown Village LLC. To compensate them up to $36,500 for the repair and restoration of the irrigation system on the golf course that was damaged while we were building the pump station at the back of Old Masters. That $36,500 is a cap. Our contractor is providing half of that money, and then we, the authority, will provide the other half, approximately $18,250 to each party. The golf course that entity will hire a specialist who does water irrigation, and when the bill is paid, we will reimburse them, as I said, up to that $36,500. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye. Second is I make a motion that the authority enter into and execute the agreement with, is it the same entity?
Yes.
The same entity that owns the golf course, Newtown Village LLC, thank you. That we will reimburse that entity for the cost associated with building our access road from Westchester Pike along the perimeter, which would be the east-westerly perimeter, or southerly perimeter of the golf course, to go from Westchester Pike to our pump station.
Well, it's more than that, Joe. It is to cover the cost of the acquisition of the easements.
Right.
And with a roadway already installed.
So it's a combination of the road installed and acquisition of the easement
For access to the pump.
for access to the pump station from Westchester Pike to the back of the pump station at the Old Masters Golf Course. Do I have that covered properly as we
Yes.
outlined?
In an amount not to exceed $111,500.
That's right. In the amount not to exceed $111,500. Do I have a second on the motion? Are there any questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. One other thing it should be under new business, it's my apology. With us being in a position to have a startup on the 16th of June for the pump station at Camelot, I'd like to authorize our engineer to coordinate with council immediately upon completion of successful startup, that we get our letters out to those potential connections that would have access to the public sewer system through the Camelot pump station. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the primary connections would be the office building, half of the office buildings in the Newtown office park.
Correct.
Okay. I'd also comment that when we go to calculate the EUs, that we look at the 2018 and 2019 water usage, not 2020. I don't know how many buildings that affects. I believe memory shows about 7 or 8 buildings on that side of the main drive. So I'd authorize our engineer and to work with council and the township staff, our staff, to get those letters out once we have successfully tested and put the system on and running. We do have other contributors to the system, but they've already paid their tap and fee a while ago. So the only new would be the office buildings in Newtown Square Office Park. Do I need to do that by motion, or is that just a business matter?
That's just administrative
Okay.
business.
I have nothing else. Does anybody have anything else at this point? No? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.